morning, students. Just to remind you again, in PowerPoint or in lesson number 14 and PowerPoint number 14, we have work on trade unions, which is part of 2.2 in the syllabus. We have discussed definitions of trade unions, we have discussed the aims of trade unions, and we have looked at advantages of belonging to a trade union. And then lastly, we have looked at the trade union's role in our economy and also in our society. Okay, just to remind you again, what is the definition of a trade union? The definition is that it is an organization, very important, that represents its members in negotiations with the management or the owners. Very important. And to remind you again, when do you become a member of a trade union? You become a member if you affiliate and if you pay your monthly membership fees. Then the trade union will represent you. So for today, in lesson 15, we continue with 2.2 in the syllabus, and we are still busy with trade unions. Today we look at the types of trade unions that we get all over the world and also here in Namibia. The first type of trade union is craft unions. Now, if you want to belong or to become a member of a craft union, you must have one or other technical skill. So you can be a plumber, you can be a graphic designer, you can be a carpenter. The only requirement is that you must have a technical skill and that you have undergo a recognized apprenticeship. Okay, then the next type of trade union is white-collar unions. The members or the workers that belong to such a trade union are normally workers that do non-manual work. That means they are normally in offices, they are not working outside, and they say for these type of workers have normally professional occupations like lawyers or teachers. Okay, then according to your syllabus, they also want you to know what a blue-collar union is. A blue-collar union is that manual workers, the one that clean the street or clean your classroom, that have very little training required for this. This is, they sometimes call them the working class of a working population, and the blue-collar unions are normally the ones that are semi-skilled or unskilled. Okay, then we also get industrial unions. So if you hear the word industry or industrial, then you must think of a lot of firms together that have the same final product in mind. And that is like a fishing industry. So all the firms that have something to do with fishing, they are in the fishing industry. Now, if I talk about industrial unions, you can immediately think that these type of workers, doesn't matter what skill, if they are skilled or semi-skilled or unskilled, it does really not matter. They must just belong to a certain industry. And this is like a mining industry, so it doesn't matter if you are the CEO or if you are the person driving the truck, you can all belong to this industrial union. And then you have a general union. Now, a general union is mostly unskilled and semi-skilled workers that belong to a general union, and they are from different industries. So that is important. You can see on the PowerPoint that I've put an example next to each of these types of unions. This is examples of Namibian trade unions that can fit into each of these types of unions. it is important for you, if you study and prepare for exam, that you at least make sure you know 3 Namibian types of unions that are craft unions. So go to your textbook and make sure you have at least examples of 2 or 3 types of, or examples of, say, craft unions. That is important. They can also ask you to explain the meaning or define a craft union or industrial union. So with 2 examples, it can easily give you then 4 marks or 5 marks. Okay, the next slide, you can see we talk about Namibian trade unions. Namibian trade unions must be affiliated to a federation, or as some people call it, an umbrella union. Now in our country there are 4 federations or umbrella unions. What an umbrella union is that all these unions in Namibia must be affiliated to one federation, and the federation will act on their behalf where it comes to big labor issues, because the federation have workers employed that have lots of experience and lawyers that know how to and only work on labor cases. So it is to your benefit if you have a trade union or are the leader of a trade union or you are in charge, that you make sure your trade union affiliate to this umbrella union. The biggest umbrella union in Namibia is the NUNW, and it was started just after independence by the ruling party at that time, SWAPO. So it mainly started with mine workers and public workers, but it's much bigger now. There's also a well-known other federation, which is TUCNA, and this trade union is mostly for building or workers working in building industries or bank workers or so forth. So that is an example of what an umbrella union is and the 2 most important umbrella unions that act on behalf of the other unions in Namibia. Okay, now what affect trade unions' activities? If they ask you that and they say, what is the factors that affect why some trade unions is efficient and others not? Then you can look at the PowerPoint and you can see that one of the reasons is a lack of understanding. So it's not only the workers that don't understand what a trade union can do for them, and it is also the business owners that don't know how to work with trade unions to their benefit. So that is a problem. Then they say another problem is the capacity of a trade union. They lack resources. For example, they don't have a car to go to the farms and get new members. And you know a trade union get their money from the members who pay monthly their membership fees. So if you don't go out and get new members, your income will also become a problem. So if the capacity, if we talk about capacity and you don't have a car or you don't have internet in your office because there's a lack of money, then it will also affect how you can do your work as a trade union. Can you really reach your members or your clients that actually can become members? Okay, then a fear of repercussion. And a fear of that is that you feel, if I strike, perhaps it may cause that I have no job after that. Or perhaps they may say, oh, you have strike. So we will, if you not, it was not legal, So we will not give you a salary for that day. It will be part of your holiday or something like that. You are worried about this. So you will say, no, I can't strike. I can do lots of other things to try to increase the wages or solve the labor problems that we have, but I am not prepared to strike because I can't be in a situation where I don't have a job. And then they talk about leadership that change very often. And if you look at that, why is that happening? Because if you get well known in a trade union and you are one of the members, you can normally earn much more in the private sector. So if they see that you know what you are doing, they employ you in a private company. And then they pay you much more. So that is why the leadership of trade unions are frequently changing. And the problem with this is the ones that is there to do the job have very little experience of what they are doing and how to do it. Then the last problem why trade unions are sometimes not very effective is because of multinationals. Now, you know what a multinational is. We have talked about multinationals. We have talked about business types. And we have said a multinational have their headquarters in developed countries and have branches all over the world. Now, they say the biggest problem is that this company is so big. They have sometimes a turnover much bigger than Namibia. So they can easily tell the Namibian government, we can't apply to this minimum wage law of yours because then we will not make the profits we are aiming for. And if you force it onto us, we will move away. And you will sit with 6,000 workers unemployed. So you see they put some pressure on the government. And with that, the government will then instruct the trade unions to not continue with this fight. Say, for example, of better wages, or only 45 hours of work per week, or tea breaks in between, or a maximum of 9 hours a day, according to the Namibian law, labor law. Okay, we look at the next point, and that is the role of employers' associations. Now, for you that employ workers, you can also belong to an employers' association where you get knowledge of how to treat your workers and how to communicate with the trade unions to your business benefit. If you look at this, they say they offer training to their members, say training on labor laws, training on changes of laws where it comes to HIV workers. They help to recruit, with recruitment, help you to look for workers that you need and that have a certain skill. Another benefit is they help to develop good relationships between workers and the management and between different businesses. And then they also give help where it comes to safety and health and tax. If you look at that is examples of different points on which they will teach you on how to handle that and what is it, how you must treat it according to the government laws, labor laws. Then the second last point, they organize for businesses bulk buying and discount to their benefit. And lastly, they convince the government to lower the taxes for businesses so that they can expand and so that they can compete against big multinationals and employ more workers. Okay, you will see we have homework which you can try to do a little bit of testing your students' knowledge. The first one, what is the employer association and how can it help the business to prosper? And the next question is, how may or discuss what may cause that trade unions reaching their goals or not reaching their goals, and then define what is a blue-collar union and a craft union. Just examples of which you can use as homework or test. We also have examples for exams which you can follow here. It is advisable that you, if you give it as a test, that you discuss afterwards the answers with the students, that they have it to study later on when they prepare for the exam.